Hey, hey, how is everyone?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm well, man.
Hey
Good to
Mike, how are you?
I am well. Anyone have any exciting news to share before we hop into it? Sweet. I will take that as a no. So I guess we can just hop into it. All right, let's do it, man.
Yeah, man. So these are swipe emails that are for a VSL I just wrote for a weight loss supplement called Serum Mood Diet Drops. I only need 3 swipes, but I wrote 5 just because, the ideas were flowing. So I got to narrow it down to 3.
Yeah, I mean, is there any sort of you only got paid for 3, right?
Yeah.
Why not just get, I mean, if all 5 of them are good, why not test all 5? I think when it comes to testing a BSL or anything really, like you go wide, test as many options as you can. And then if 1 or 2 start gaining traction, then you go sort of quote unquote deeper into each of those avenues. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. So like even if they only, paid me for X amount, just still give them more.
Yeah, I mean, why not? It's in your best
Okay.
interest, right?
Yeah. Sure.
One thing that I do with all of my promos is I always submit 2 or 3 leads, even if they only pay me for 1.
Oh, okay.
Because it just doesn't make sense. Not, everything about this business is just about how many swings you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I'm happy to look at all 5, but I wouldn't like automatically throw away 2 just because they only paid for 3. Like,
Makes
do you
sense.
have a royalty on this?
No, not for this, but it was a pretty big package.
Yeah, I mean, so like, my whole thing is I always be like, hey, insert client name, like, oopsie, I had an extra cup of coffee this week, and like, what do you know? I gave you 5 instead of 3. Like, if they're 5 quality ones, they won't be mad. Okay, so let's see. Government research confirms. Mhm. So one thing you can try too, and I remember, when I was writing a ton of stuff for Native Path Paleo Secret, we would run a ton of Transformation Insider, like CPL campaigns from Joel Marion, and all of the subject lines that clicked the hardest were always just like 1 word subject lines. So I would almost test a subject line that's just avocado, just mango, just banana,
Okay.
just acai. And then with this, the only thing that sort of throws me off is they're really common fruit. And this is a very, very big claim. So I wonder if there's any sort of weirdness we can add to this, right? Groundbreaking research published in Lipids and Health and Disease confirms that people given this common fruit, or when people prepare this common fruit in a weird way, or whatever, just to kind of justify this, because it's really tough for me to be like, oh, great, avocados did this.
Makes sense.
So I would add a little bit of misdirection here if you can.
Yeah, got it.
And then the only thing here is just like you can say, either click click one of the options above or click here to see if you guess it right. And then you have the click here as highlighted as well. So for people who don't know, that's something you can do.
Wait, what was the last part? You have click here if they didn't know?
So can I write on this?
Yeah.
So it'll be like, you give them 2 options because you just say click, you don't tell me where.
Okay.
This way we give them 2 options, right? Like either click on one of these or literally click here.
Got it.
Okay, so lean science have discovered a bizarre West African fruit. 3.2 pounds per week. You know, this is kind of a clunky sentence. Like there's a lot going on here. Leading scientists, bizarre fruit, 3 pounds per week, 6.5 inches of nagging fat from your waistline. I would try to see, especially with like first sentences, I'm such a stickler for that stuff because I always, you know, if you've read anything from Joe Sugarman, his whole thing is like slippery slide, right? How can we create momentum? And I think you do that with your first sentence as best you can. So if we can break this up into 2 or 3 sentences that are super quick, but sort of grease that slide, that's where I would start with this one.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's almost like numbers in every sentence, right? Which is like really hard for me to like take in visually.
Okay.
I would probably change this to, which means you can do everything right, work out until you're blue in the face, and it still wouldn't matter. You'll still stay the same, or worse, get fatter. It's me being super nitpicky. I don't know if mute is the right word.
What do you think?
Well, something that gets muted, it's still on, right? Like if I
Yeah.
mute the TV is still on. So this has to be like kill, erases, stops.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
You know, like I know I'm being nitpicky. Like, is this one word going to screw up click-through rate? Like, probably not. But you know, just something that sort of popped up in my head.
Yeah, it just decreases it. But I also say in other places blocks the formation of it. Yeah, but that makes sense. That example.
And then I would actually, so typically like with sentences, you want the strongest shit at the end or the beginning, right? So
Yeah.
I almost wonder if we take the according to latest science and put it right here instead. So in that way it goes, after you turn 40, your belly soaks up clingy fat like a sponge. What we now know, thanks to cutting edge science, is that it's because of a new rogue protein that programs your DNA to replace aging fat cells. But we fix it, and then that way you end on such a strong note.
Wait, so what I'm removing is according to the latest research and putting that after sponge. Okay, that's easier.
Yeah, because this backs up, because this is a very big claim. So you almost need something that says like, you know, after you turn 40, all this bad shit happens. And according to the latest cutting edge science, we now know why. There's a
Oh,
rogue protein that
that,
does all this shit. And I'm going to give you the fix so that you get benefit. Click here. Okay, same thing here. I mean, this is such a mouthful, right? Like, I love everything in here. I think it's so valuable. But just think about sort of the eyesore that comes with this, right?
so
Like, how many.
I have a question then. What
Uh-huh.
about all those swipes you might see, like even like the Okinawa flat belly ton? Like I see a lot of swipes they might have, or like natural health Sherpa, they might have pretty big blocks. I don't know why though. I thought maybe 1 or 2 sentences ain't too bad.
No, it's not that it's too bad. It's just, if you look at this sentence, like the sentence was so long, you had to break it up with an ellipses. That usually tells us that there's a way to rewrite it to make it much stronger,
Oh,
right? Because if you look at the amount of subjects, what do we have? We have controversial doctor, we have a shady weight loss industry, we have a Western African tribal remedy, we have a tiny protein, and we have clingy fat. That's just a lot for me to take in immediately at once, right? So the quick fix would be like, and I don't want to get in the habit of making line edits because I don't want everyone on the call to be like, hey, Mike, fake line edits, but I'll do it this time, right? So a controversial, here's how I would sort of write this. And this is me doing it sort of on the fly, right? Does this make sense why I'm doing it this way?
yeah, yeah, I think so. That makes sense.
This is just such a more sort of greased slide than just like all of this at once. And then you'll basically just want this to say, because if I introduce a problem, I just need a solution right after. So just make it a super tight connection. Like when you fix this rogue protein, you can release 4 times as much fat. Is this throwing a wrench into this, or are you understanding kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so there's a lot of subject matter in the first paragraph that I included. So you're just breaking it up so it's easier to read.
Yeah, easier to read, and every sentence leads to the next. There's a logical progression here.
And then the last one you can fix it with, or are you want me to say you can fix it with, and then also change the rest after that?
No, it doesn't have to be fixed with. What I'm saying is like, so before we made these edits, we introduced a new problem, right? Hey,
Okay.
there's this new shit that's causing all of it. So if you introduce a solution, I need you to tell me this solution fixes this problem.
Oh,
So you need some sort of transition here or at the end of it that makes it make sense, essentially. Does that clear it up?
yeah, I think I got it.
Cool. And the only other thing too is like, there's probably an email where you start with Linda. And this is a classic, like Ohio woman drops a bajillion pounds, her secret. And then you literally just have a quick 50 to 75 word sort of blurb that's like, Linda woke up 51 pounds lighter after 4 months of blah, blah, blah. All she did was amazingly just one thing, and it's now sparking weight loss transformations all across the country. Click here to see it now. Because all of these sort of rely very heavily on the mechanism and the science behind it, which I think is the right thing to do. But I think this is sort of an underutilized asset, so to speak.
Got it. Okay. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, other than that, good work, man. It's really cool. I think all these photos are great, by the way.
Say it again, all these what?
Photos are great.
Okay, cool. What about the subject line to from names? I don't know how many to include. I just did however many popped into my head.
Yeah, just give them a ton, man. Like, you mentioned this was going to be on the for the back end list, right? If I recall correctly.
Yeah, it's just affiliate swipes, pay drops.
Yeah, so I mean, what you could do is just like give them a bunch and just say like, hey, based on what we're seeing, work on XYZ list, like tailor this to whatever, to your list. What I used to do when I was doing a ton of list management at, again, Paleo Secret Native Path, we like, if I knew a really big affiliate was mailing out, I would just look at, I was on their list because I was just on everyone's list. So I would look at what they would be sending me. And then based on that, I would custom write subject lines for them. Because the last thing you want to do too is send this out to 10 different affiliates and then all 10 affiliates mail out with the same subject line.
Okay, wait. So you wrote a different subject line for like each potential affiliate that.
Yeah, if we had like a big boy affiliate mail out, then I would write subject lines based on that,
Okay.
based on what we knew worked for their list. You might not have that luxury, and that's totally fine. But the point I'm trying to make is like offer them different subject lines so that they're not going to be sending the same one.
That's a good point. Okay.
Because I think as marketers, we tend to think that like our lists are the only lists that people are on. And the fact of the matter is, if I'm on one affiliate list as a consumer, I'm on like 50. So I get like 45 of these emails every day. So any way we can sort of stand out, be different. I don't know. And that's just the way I sort of look at it. I could be wrong.
No, but makes complete sense. Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, of course, man. Hey, dude.
Yeah, what's up, Mike?
What's up? Dude, you always have the most like interesting promos. Like it's like about like killing mosquitoes or like kids multivitamins. That's awesome, man. Yeah. So what's going on here?
Yeah, so I put up the big idea for you on the top, and then I have like a few questions throughout the specific questions throughout the letter.
Totally. Okay, so is there a control?
Yeah, it's pretty, well, in my opinion, it's pretty bad, but do you want to look at that too?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the first place to sort of start. And the only reason why I'm asking is like, is that the benefit that the control's running with?
No, it's running with no benefit at all, to be honest with you.
It just says the first. Yeah, if you have a link, we can sort of look at it and
All right.
see what we can find.
Kind of just very, very simple.
Kids vitamins that get nerdy. I don't. That's not even like grammatically correct. Okay, so um
Oh, I created this one from scratch pretty much. And
yeah, I guess the reason why I'm asking is like, is there a reason why we're going for behavior issues?
yeah, that's what they found through their testing.
Oh, great.
That's for them.
Okay, sure. Then yeah, I mean, give it a go, see what's up. You obviously have some sort of differentiation by saying the first, right? Then making a multivitamin specifically for kid behavior. The one thing I'll note is this is much more about the parents than it is the kids. And what I mean by that, like as we write, we need to tap into the parents' shame about having a kid that misbehaves.
Even
This
with
makes sense.
Even with the traffic source being Facebook.
I don't know what's compliant, what's not. I'm just saying, like,
Gotcha.
it's almost not like kids are little extensions of parents, right?
Yeah.
And what a lot of parents sort of do is if their kid's misbehaving, that doesn't mean, ooh, Tommy's misbehaving. It means, ooh, I'm a bad father.
Gotcha.
So that's a little subtle shift and sort of nuance, I think, in the customer psychology of just like, it's similar to some of the dog training stuff. Like, you don't want a dog that makes you look like an asshole. That's
Yeah.
really what it is. So you need to talk about the parents not being like, if the kid misbehaves, that means everyone thinks you don't discipline them correctly
Yeah.
or enough.
Okay.
I also, do we know that, like, do kids, are they taking the multivitamin now? Are you trying to get people to swap, or are you trying to get people to start?
Yeah, so for this variation, I'm trying to get them to swap.
Cool.
But in another variation, I start with them with this.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So then if that's the case, man, like, I almost think you can run with something like this. That's like the first kids multivitamin clinically proven to help your kid focus, stay calm, and not throw tantrums or something like that. Like, you basically need to dimensionalize this for me.
Oh, there's a subhead more down below. Is that fine, or?
I would almost move these into the main headline and then have the subject line about Harvard and Yale,
Gotcha.
basically proving it out. So this would be the main claim, and then right after you'd have the proof, basically.
That's good.
And then what other? No, I think that's great. You know, I think if you want to shorten it in terms of, like, for design purposes, you can just make this text literally smaller.
You think so?
I think so. I mean, look, like, it's tough for me to say without knowing the entire design of the page, but
Yeah.
I think testimonials are important, especially from a parent who's saying, not only do we love the vitamins, but he loves them too.
Yeah. Okay.
I like it. I mean, there's nothing here that I think is fluff.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, and then this is just like such an excellent proof point that I would sort of lead with, which you do a really, that's like the right thing to do. And in the subhead, I would just harp on it so hard. You know, two of the world's top scientists from Harvard Medical School and Yale University of Medicine put their heads together to fix the number one problem ailing parents and children alike.
That's good. Yeah.
Or whatever. That's not perfect, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the rest is fine.
Oh, with the Harvard and Yale logos or symbols, should I just put like the regular logos and symbols as to increase the like familiarity?
What do you mean the regular?
I don't know, like Yale's usually blue.
Oh, do you see? I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever one is there, like, normal one, I would do that. I'll actually move all of this as seen on above the headline.
This above the headline?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that goes directly against sort of common practice. So if it does, don't do that. But just, I don't know.
Sure.
I figured it was a little bit clunky to have Harvard this and then this.
Okay. And
Yeah.
And I had a question right here on page 5, at the end of page 5. I feel like this part right here is like a little bit too much, and I should just delete it since I've mentioned it at the beginning and then later on too.
No, I'd keep it. Because I mean that's the whole point of the promo, right? Like there are no synthetic ingredients, there's none of this garbage in there. So why not continue to harp on it?
Okay.
Yeah, the rest of this is sweet, man.
And to like right here at the same spot, it only has 2 grams of sugar per serving. Should I also include that it's like 4 grapes worth of sugar to like make it more concrete?
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, you just don't say this and kind of hide it further down because it's really tough to be like, don't eat sugar. And then like, well, we have 2 grams. But yeah, if you can somehow dimensionalize this and say, unlike most multivitamins that have XYZ amount of sugar, we only have 2, which is the equivalent to 4 grapes. You can even say 4 grapes worth of sugar.
Okay. 4 grapes worth of sugar. Okay.
What other questions?
And then, oh, right, there's a big part of this in page 9. So one of their pages, they had it like this, right? They don't even have mushrooms in their formula or anything like that, or dried apricots or milk in their formula, but they decided to do it like this for some reason. And then I don't know if I don't think I'm gonna do it that way, but more like what's in the, if you scroll a little bit down, what's right here.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you can do that. I just worry it'll get a little bit long. So I would actually test both, sort of a more built out one and then one that's a little bit less. Because the point here is not that there's mushrooms in it. I think the point is that it has more vitamin D than 200 mushrooms. No?
Yeah.
So they're just using that as a comparison.
All right, cool.
What else you got?
Let me see here. I think that might be all of it.
Cool. I mean, okay, so I didn't actually see this. So here's another thing you can do. Like, you don't even have to say 2 grams. You can just say it has less than half the sugar of competing brands, which is true. Smarty Pants is at 5, you're at 2.
Okay. Listen.
But yeah, man, this looks actually really cool. I'm excited to see how this does. Good job.
Thank you.
Hi, Mike.
Hey.
Okay, so this is basically a YouTube ad for a book, and the angle here is that I've used Connor Boylan's template from RMBC. He did a blind curiosity ad on a dating offer, I think. So I just tried that same angle here, and I just want your honest opinion on this.
Sure.
So while you're reading, basically the point is that you have to tease the shit out of them, keep telling them about the benefits, like what they're gonna achieve, what are their pains, and how pissed off they are about something, how messed up their mind is, and you just don't tell them about the thing, and you make them click using the curiosity. The curiosity is the leverage here, basically.
Yeah, this is sweet, man. I mean, if you just swipe something that works, like, let's just try it and see what happens. The thing I would say is right away, like, this doesn't really mean anything to me.
Okay.
Like, the best version of yourself could mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. And it's a little bit flat, right? It's like, do you want to know this one secret 7-minute trick that puts you in absolute control of your mind so that you become the most confident, most blank version of yourself? Like this, sorry. This here is just kind of throwing me off because it's a little bit of a bland claim.
Okay, right.
So yeah, I mean, you have a lot of great benefits down here. Just move it up, so you become the most confident, most productive.
Okay, basically, I showed this ad to Sabah as well, and she also said the same thing about the skip stopper. I mean, it's a YouTube ad, so the first sentence has got to, stop the skip, make them watch your ad. And she also said that the benefit here, because if you watch that video by Connor Boylan, you might have noticed that his skip stopper was very powerful. Like, instead of you chasing girls, you would have girls chasing you, something like that. So that goes right to the highly desired benefit that your target markets look forward to. And you're saying the same thing here. So basically what you're saying is that I lack the emotional depth here, like I'm not getting right to the most highly desired outcome.
Yeah, I just don't think this means anything. Like, what does best version of yourself mean? It means being more confident. It means being more productive. I mean, the best version of yourself would work 20 years ago when Tony Robbins was selling personal power. This is such an outdated sort of claim that we almost need to get a little bit more specific. And you do a great job of that here, right? You're not anxious. You're fucking immovable, right? You have a steel trap mind. You're confident. You're productive. You're positive. You're focused. Why wait to give them all the good shit here if you can just literally say, there's one secret 7-minute trick that puts you in absolute control of your mind, so that you can even say awaken, right? If you want to borrow sort of some of the Tony Robbins language, right? So you can awaken your most powerful, productive, calm, and confident self to everything you do that day.
Right.
And then
if you go to the bottom,
is this about meditating?
It's about no, the person who is basically selling the software is different from the rest of them. He has got some proven techniques about that. So it's not meditating, it's more like mind games, mind tricks.
Okay, so you need to, I'm not thinking it's yoga, I'm immediately thinking it's meditation.
Right.
So you immediately need to say, and no, I'm not talking about some airy fairy meditation trick, or yoga, or journaling, or manifesting your way to a better life.
Right.
So I would say other sort of alternatives here.
Right.
And then the rest, give it a go. See what happens.
If you go to the bottom of this copy, you would see the urgency clause, the last one, the last lines. And I was told by someone that you should have used limited time or limited stock thing, but I was of opinion that since this is a guru and he has been through the shit that he is helping people with, basically. So I don't think that for a person like him it would be a good close. Like, for a person like him, I should have used emotional close, which I did here. So I just need your opinion on that. Or should we go with particular traditional limited time, limited this and that kind of thing here?
Say one more time. Why is a limited time a bad idea?
Because I was thinking that limited time or limited stock close is not very much in line with a guru who does not only know his shit, but has been through the same shit, and who is a person who basically sells that I've been through this mess and I want to help you with that. So that's basically the main approach when it comes to his book, like hero story. I've been through this. I want to help you with this. So I thought that for a story like that, a better urgency, tactic could have been an emotional urgency. Like either you do this now, or you would be facing the circumstances of, whatever actions you're taking for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, my question is just like, why can't you do both? You can literally say, so before all this emotional mess, procrastination and self-doubt compel you to take your life and lose your family forever. You know that you have to take action. Either way, we only have 70 copies left. Click here now. But you can still do both. I think with book promos, that's actually the key here, especially if this is something physical, is just like a stock run out, right? I think that's super important. I think it's still in line because that's a fact until supplies last.
Right. Thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah, of course, man. Good work. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, man. How are you?
Yeah, doing well, thanks. It's the same again, or same as last week. I think made a few changes since, but it's just a lead. Some real estate.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. I mean, the only thing I'd add is like, is there any way to have some sort of beginner language in here? If that's the truth.
Say again?
Like, you can do this even if you've never purchased before, if you're a first time buyer or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it sounds awesome. And then I see this and I go, oh shit, like this must be hard. So if you can say something like previously only available to the ultra wealthy and institutional investors, today, first time buyers can get in and it's easier than ever.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't want to overload the old headline complex, but yeah.
But you can probably put, for the first time ever. Yeah, so you have this. So this is great. Maybe change this to, and this depends on the market, right? Like, are they first time buyers?
No, so the thing about this is it's an overseas opportunity, so they would have property already.
Oh, okay. All right, then yeah, just leave
But
it
first time in that market.
This is the first time you're introducing the pivot investing strategies.
Yeah, because that was a new. I don't know if it was you, but someone said I should give it a name. Previously, I just said strategies. So that's the first time you see it, yeah.
I guess it's fine. Yeah. Yeah, dude, this is so much better than the first week. Like, I hope you felt that while reading it and writing it. Like, we immediately hit the ground running with, there's some cool shit that it's only happening now today. You immediately introduce some sort of a new mechanism, and then you prove it by saying like why you're the only one who can do that.
Yep.
So yeah, man, I think this is totally on the right track. Good job.
Cool. Could I also, if can you just take a look at the kind of the end part of the lead where we get into the
The part you highlighted?
no, beyond that, the next bit. That's okay because I'll swap that bit out. But
This part here?
yeah, like the next sort of page, a few pages.
Sure. I'd probably say we're an international real estate developer and private lender, because then it's
Okay.
kind of weird to be like, wait, you live in Florida. What are you talking about with all this other stuff?
Right.
And then you basically want to be like, and I created the pivot investing strategy. Like, if you're going to lean on this new sort of mechanism,
Yep.
you need to continue to call back to it.
Okay. So as in
From
I'm
UK
the
to Ireland
creator of-
to mainland Europe, helping ordinary people get their money into the world's most dynamic wealth generating market on the planet using the pivot investing
yeah.
strategies I'm about to reveal to you too. See right here, right? The
yeah.
strategies. No. The
Yeah.
pivot investing strategies.
Yeah, it's because it's a new insert, but yep, makes sense.
Yeah, and depending on, I did you read like BlackRock is like swapping up, just buying trillions of dollars, like buying like entire neighborhoods.
I've heard some stories like that.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude.
Nice, yeah.
They're like buying entire neighborhoods of real estate for like 15 to 20% above asking price. And then the
Yeah.
homeowner's like, yay. And then they get the check. And then the homeowners basically go, oh, wait, I don't have enough money to buy anything in this inflated market anyway, even with that plumped up check. So these homeowners
Right.
basically get demoted to renters. And
Terrible.
rent prices are up 15% over last year alone. So not only are they getting absolutely destroyed because they can't get a new home, they're going to be paying more for their rent than they were their mortgage.
Yeah.
It's truly a lose-lose situation.
That's nice.
Yeah, it looks like they're overdue for a big correction. Cryptocurrencies, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'm trying to tie it back to UK and keep it.
Yeah, I think that's a smart thing to do. Yeah, you'll just want to sort of prove this out a little bit, right? Like,
Okay.
Financial promos, and I'm going to make a distinction between financial and health. I know this is kind of like biz-oppy, but it still has this like financial flavor to it, investment opportunity type. Like, I've come to realize that one, they're so much harder than writing health promos, and two,
Oh, really? Yep.
because it's again, Aaron Winter calls it sort of like health is problem solution. Hey, your knee hurts. Here's something to fix it.
Yeah.
Finance, it's problem creation. You have to convince me of an opportunity or a problem that I didn't know I had, and then convince me of a solution. It's much, much harder. And I think with that comes this burden of proof. And you need to prove out everything like to insane proportions. So I need sort of cutouts, I need newspaper quotes, I need stuff in charts that basically says the US is skyrocketing, it's never been better. XYZ, CNBC says this, Barron says this, like one glance at a new write-up from so-and-so, and you'll see clearly that whatever, right? So
Mm,
you need to basically, instead of telling me it's the perfect time, you need to show me.
yeah. Okay.
You know, I mean, you can talk about low interest rates, that's fine, right? Cheap money, whatever, but I just need something to sink my teeth into as investor.
Okay. Yeah, we kind of get to that later, but I know what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. So just move that up, because then that'll go really
Okay.
cool into this. You'll basically be like, because you convince them that the US is just ripe, right? And then you go, oh, but it just got better because of this regulation A sort of approval.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do we need this?
I'll think about that.
Because it's almost like,
Too much.
huh,
Yeah.
like you almost have two introductions.
Mm. Yeah, I was aware of that. I'll go back over it and see if it adds anything. Maybe it
So just
doesn't.
something to think about. But other than that, man, like, again, I think you just basically start where you started, which is like, hey, there's this perfect storm brewing. Like, real estate's nuts. Here's all the proof that proves it. But it just got even better because we got this approval, which means you can do whatever you want.
Yep.
And then you prove it out. Testimonials with actual sort of projections, all that good stuff, right?
Okay. That's brilliant.
So yeah, good work, man. This is really
Cheers.
coming
Thanks again,
together.
Mike. That's awesome.
course.
Thanks.
Hey, how's it going, Mike?
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. How's everything with you?
All right. Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Dude, well, if this is your first gig, like, I think congratulations is in order. Like, fuck yeah, dude.
Oh, thank
That's
you, man.
awesome, man. Congrats.
Thank you, man.
How's it feel?
It feels good. I want to make sure it's like solid. I don't know. It's like I just want to make sure it's strong.
No, totally, man. Well, let's do it. All right, let me see. Okay, so this is for an electrical bike, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like for Facebook ads with like it's gonna be a video, and then these are gonna be like for the headline, like when you see it, and then the down below is gonna be like the ad copy for like the description, like for the video.
Awesome. Do they have an existing?
Yeah, right there on the link. So it's kind of like that. And then you'll see like I don't think you see the headline there, but like I think when you see it on Facebook, it says like, oh, meet the new electric bike or something.
And this is the only one they have?
No, they had more. Is that the only one left?
45 results. Huh.
Is that the only one left?
Oh,
no, they have a
wow.
bunch
Sorry,
more.
I should just scroll down.
No, it's
All
fine.
right. So
See,
cool.
like,
I mean, it
that's
looks like there's just a lot of like features.
I guess you.
Okay, cool.
And then you would see like on the video, like you'll see that will be like the headlines, like where it's
Another thing that I think you'd play around with, you can do like this like sort of social craze type thing. Like, this new bike is replacing cars, electric scooters, and everything
okay.
worldwide. People everywhere are going nuts over its new blah, blah, blah differentiation mechanism, whatever. Just basically like,
Okay.
this is a very like logical thing where it's just like, save money on gas, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great.
Okay.
But I would also think about like, how can I create this? How can I make this into a social craze? Like everyone's doing it, everyone's grabbing one. Why don't you
Okay.
have one, right? This is the new hottest bike of 2021.
So like, this new electric bike is replacing like cars and whatever.
Yeah, you can try that. And again, it depends on sort of the markets, right? The first thing that comes to mind is because I was watching YouTube videos on Amsterdam the other day. Is like Amsterdam is a place where like using a bike is almost like a no-brainer. Like no one actually owns a car in Amsterdam. Another example is New York, right? So I
Yeah,
think,
and this company is based in New York too.
right. So if they're going to do local ads in New York, then go heavily into that and just be like, New Yorkers everywhere are making the switch.
Okay.
That's where I
sense.
would sort of play around with some of this stuff. Right around in style. Save money on gas. You know what you could do too? You like, instead of save money on gas, which is kind of like a feature,
Okay.
you can literally turn that into a benefit.
I
Basically,
I was making that like a benefit list, that little list there. I don't know if that's like a benefit list.
no, totally. It can be. This is like, we can just take it a step further, right? And the easy way to
Okay.
do this is basically like save money and then you add so that you can XYZ. Have a quicker commute so that you can ZYX.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you just add this layer of like dimensionalization, which is just like, well, what does saving money on gas mean for me? This is the difference
Exactly.
between, let's say you're selling a coat and I say it has 7 pockets. Like, great, thanks for letting me know it has 7 pockets. The copywriter would come in and say, it has 7 pockets so that you can always carry around snacks or whatever it is, right? So we can play around with some of that stuff.
Oh, that's really good.
You can also have something that's like, with how much is it for the bike?
It's like 1,200 or 300.
Yeah, so it's almost like the bike pays for itself.
Okay, that's a good thing to bring up. Well, that would be a good thing to bring up in that little thing, right?
I would bring them up in all of them.
Oh,
Like, save so much money on gas that you have extra funds for that dinner you wanted to go out to or whatever,
Oh.
right? And I'd also talk about how the bike pays for itself. Like, you'd make your money back, sort of.
I got you.
I wouldn't say that exactly, but that's sort of where my head's at. Cool, man. Yeah, and then the only other thing I would sort of play around with, like, this is awesome too. The powerful alarm system, I would sort of highlight that. Is,
Okay.
I'd love something here that's like, well, what makes this bike so special?
Okay.
Don't all bikes save money on gas? Don't all bikes improve my fitness?
Okay.
So I think the question we have to ask ourselves is like, why buy this bike over another bike? Like, what makes this so great? If we add that layer of differentiation, perhaps, fastest charging bike, whatever it is, right? I don't know what that is because you know this market better than I do. But we just
Okay.
need something that basically tells us like, this e-bike is the shit, the rest are trash because of XYZ.
Okay. That makes
Because
sense.
especially in New York, you're going to have people who, I'm sure, one, people walk everywhere in New York. Two, people who do have bikes, you're going to have to convince them that this bike is better than their
Then
old
ev-
bike.
That it's better than like all the other bikes and their bike.
Exactly. So we need some sort of proof for that. Like, what makes this so great?
Okay.
Because I save money on gas with any bike. I
Yeah,
get vitamin
true.
D exposure with any bike. I can have adventures with any bike. Why yours in specific? So I don't know what that answer is, but I hope that gives you enough to sort of start thinking.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, man, dude. Other than that, man, I'm stoked for you, man. I think this is all sort of going to come together. So marching orders is, let's really sit down and get really clear on one, what makes this thing so different, and sort of lace that USP throughout each one, each
Okay.
ad. Two, after we do that, we ask ourselves, like, great, how can we start turning some of these features into really strong benefits that make me as a reader go, oh, cool.
Like give a reason.
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't know, what's an example I can use? You know, it's like a weak benefit in the weight loss market is you'll lose weight. It's like, great, thanks for letting me know that, right? But if you take you'll lose weight so that you can fit into that dress that's collecting dust in the back of your closet, now that's a super strong benefit, right? You'll lose weight so fast your girlfriends will beg for your secret. Now we turn that into something that's really like, ooh. So how can we turn all of these into ooh, right?
Got you.
So hopefully that's helpful, man. I think if you do those two things, you'll basically beat any of these ads, because you'll notice there's nothing here that's like,
It's nothing
that's
special.
new. There's nothing special. And that's why we can create that specialness by saying there's a social craze going on and everyone's doing it, you should too. Or we can actually look at what's genuinely special about this. Maybe it's lightweight. Maybe it has a battery that surpasses every single sort of battery life of any other sort of bike. There's a security feature to this too. And maybe it's all the best. Like, this is the most complete bike because it has all of these things. But there has to be something.
Okay.
And then, as Matt says, you know, once you finish with some of these offer focused ads, you can start playing around with some actual longer form story based ads.
Okay.
But I think that's a phase 2 consideration. I don't think that's something to worry about right now.
Okay. All right.
All right, brother. Again, man, congrats. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, you helped me a lot. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, man, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Okay, so we have 4 leads.
Yeah, it's a bitter lemon supplement, and they've started running a lead which is about the discovery of a Japanese green fruit, which is basically bitter lemon, but there's no newness or proof or like there's nothing concrete in their lead. So basically, I've coming up with a bunch of ideas to beat their current lead.
Okay, so they're
So they don't even mention this 127% weight loss, until about halfway through their VSL.
oh, cool. Yeah, so just moving that up, I think you would win.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just trying to shoehorn in fatty liver into the headline is a bit clumsy. Because I just want it to link up to the VSL.
I mean, do we need this? in the headline?
Yeah, I mean, not. I don't. If you don't think so, I don't. You know, I'd rather it's not there, because this is predominantly going to women, and I don't know how interested they are in fatty liver. It's just that the bulk of the VSL is about this guy who's dying of fatty liver disease.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he got that past ClickBank, but they've allowed it.
You got to pass it the same way everyone gets everything past ClickBank. They upload a dummy page, get approved, and then upload the real copy right after.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what happened here. I'm just saying like
Yeah.
that's typically the way people get past ClickBank.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Okay, so I mean, you're rewriting the lead, right? So
Yeah.
this sort of assumes that a front end sort of buyer knows they have fatty liver or care about a fatty liver. I would argue that they care more about weight loss.
Yeah, I
So you
agree.
start at weight loss and then you go, this is a photo of someone's liver. Why am I showing you the liver? Well, the liver is actually the biggest determinant of whatever,
Yeah.
your weight.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
agree.
the way you do it. Because this sort of, you just kind of, I'm immediately just like, wait, what?
Yeah, I've always been told you have to link your headline to your lead, you know, so, but I'd rather it's not there as well.
Well, you are linking it. I think this is one of those times where we need to ask ourselves, like, is it a stronger argument without this? And I would argue that it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then you basically, if you do want to do this, I mean, this is a very classic, like, John Benson, like, hey, this is a goldfish. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you why this goldfish is the key to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So you basically have to go, this is a photo of someone's liver. In just a moment, I'm going to show you why these yellow patches on this person's liver are actually the key and the root cause of every weight loss trouble you've had, and exactly how we're going to fix it. You see, these leech-like yellow blobs are actually fatty deposits. And they're the biggest determinant and warning sign of your body's metabolism grinding to a halt.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to give them some good news as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a good call, man. Like, I'm beginning to think that like leads are all about hope, especially in the health market.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think this is like infinitely stronger than this.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
this at
probably
least
is.
gives me what I want, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to just eat a bunch of extra slices of pizza. Sign me up, man.
Yeah, I agree. I just find sometimes it's impossible to know. You just test loads of stuff. But yeah, I would say it's
agree,
stronger.
man. I think you're doing the right thing. You're sort of, again, casting a super wide net and then just seeing what hits. And then based on what hits, then you can start optimizing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're all pretty similar apart from the headline and the first few lines.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, the only other thing I would sort of, and this is me mentioning this without seeing the rest of the copy, right? But I would just sort of try to put some sort of social proof, right? But instead involves a simple ritual done 15 minutes before meal times, the same one that's now transforming thousands of men and women all across the globe.
Yeah.
This is fine to test. I wonder if it's stronger to be like, is this knobbly green Japanese fruit? Could this knobbly green Japanese fruit be the antidote to could this be your weight loss secret, your newest weight loss secret?
Yeah. Yeah, they have a whole section
Yeah.
about the FDA banning slimming aids, which I think is pretty risky, but that's what they wanted to do.
I think it's risky too, and I wonder if this almost hurts your case, because when I read this, and this is sort of my own bias coming through, like my mind immediately goes to like, well, if it's something that can potentially be banned, it sounds risky and dangerous. I don't want anything to do with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would almost play around with like, you know,
Buried.
what'd you say?
Well, rather than say banned, you just say buried by the weight loss industry.
Right. Yeah. That's much better. It's cutting into people's profits because it's natural. Of course, you can't patent the fruit or whatever it is, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe it's not big pharma, but you understand where I'm
Yeah.
going. Like for something to be banned, I'm assuming as a consumer, there's something like when I think of substances being banned, I think of what? I think
Yeah.
of anabolic steroids.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that is why the FDA's really banned them, you know, because they're dangerous, not because of the profits of weight loss industry.
No, totally. But you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is I
Yeah,
don't
I know
know
what
if
you
that's
mean.
a sentiment to start with right away. And again, like,
Yeah.
you know, check in with your own moral compass. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the rest is the existing, so you don't need to check that.
Yeah. And then I mean vegetable and fruit, just make sure that matches up.
Right. Yeah. Good catch.
And then instead of tropical, like if you've already said Japan, like keep telling me Japan.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, this is all the client's copy, and it's all been done, so I don't think they're gonna change any of that. But
Cool.
yeah, thanks a lot for your feedback.
Yeah, man, you got it.
Cheers.
Hey Mike, how's it going?
Hey man, how are you?
Great. So as I mentioned, you know, I've got this potential client now in the pipeline, and you know, since I haven't really got you know, experience with Facebook ads as much, you know, I rather just, you know, kind of look at their ads and, you know, just give them some sort of you know, ideas or angles they can try out, and then that way I can kind of get my, you know, foot in the door. So in this document, I've basically first of all, you know, kind of summarized the kind of formats they've got with their Facebook ads, the ones right here. So so this is basically like a gut supplement basically, and they've got like a unique mechanism that, you know, normally people assume that, you know, it's due to having lots of acid or more acid in your stomach, but it's actually because of an inflamed esophagus. And that's kind of the main UMP.
What causes the
the
inflamed esophagus? Is that excess acid?
No, they're sorry. Let me clarify. They're saying that the symptoms. So you know, when you've got, for example, bloating or, you know, like fiery throat, as some of them call it, that's because of an inflamed esophagus and not because of more acid in your stomach. So they're basically, it's basically a contrarian angle that they're, you know, kind of running with, that, you know, the doctors are giving you all these pills, you know, the antacids essentially, but they're not actually solving the correct problem. The real problem is that you've got an inflamed esophagus, and that's what you should be fixing. And here's the, you know, ingredients that are going to fix the actual problem.
I guess what I'm sense. No, that makes sense. I'm just trying to like take a step back before we get into the copy, and just so I can understand what's going on. Like, so what causes the inflamed esophagus?
Well, I'm not totally. I mean, because I mean, again, it's for the Facebook ad. You know, they're not really focusing too heavily on that by the looks of it. They're just trying to focus mostly on the actual cause and just how to fix it. Sure. If we really want to go into it, then technically, let me just bring it up.
No, it'll just help you sort of orient yourself, right? Because, you know, for me to say like, it's not this, it's not that, it's actually this, like my mind goes, because look, when I think about acid reflux, when I think about heartburn, when I think about any sort of GI sort of issues, I literally, like I'm closing my eyes right now and I'm imagining acid bubbling up into my esophagus, right? And that's the prevailing theory right now. You have too much stomach acid buildup, right?
Yes.
And you get all this nasty shit that happens, right? So if you go, oh no, it's actually an inflamed esophagus, my mind immediately goes to like, yeah, well, no shit. The excess acid is literally bubbling up through my esophagus. So we almost need to attack that right away and say, no, it's not that. It's actually something else. And we need to define what that something else is, not because I think it'll go into the Facebook ad, but because it'll help you sort of think about how to approach this thing in the first place.
Okay, sure, yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, we don't have to do that right now. I just sort of throwing it out there.
Sure, you know, I'll definitely kind of dig into that as well.
Okay, so go for something else. Like, do you see how this is just not, like, if we went with this, it's not enough? Because my mind immediately goes to like, yeah, well, no shit. Like, the acid causes this inflammation.
Yeah, no, I get you, definitely.
So this is the pivotal sentence. This is where, and I'm assuming this is where what we're going with, right?
Yeah, pretty much. What I've also kind of noticed is in some of the ads that they're running, they've kind of harped on too much about every single kind of ingredient. And what I think would work, you know, potentially could work better would be like just honing in on the main ingredient that it has, which is called the zinc carnosine, which is like a specific combination of zinc and L-carnosine. And because it, you know, it was like a revolutionary, Japanese bit that some Japanese scientists came up with. So if we could kind of, you know, hone in on that and focus on that in more detail, I think that could kind of, you know, because I mean, if you look through one of their Facebook ads, in particular, by, you know, just going through all those, you know, ingredients, they're kind of scattering the whole big idea and the main idea of the product. You know, if they,
yeah, they dilute it.
Kind of focus,
sure.
Yeah, exactly. If they focus on the main kind of, you know, the main thing that actually helps them solve it, then they're going to kind of, you know, it's like you know, the circuit was, I can't remember what it's called. It's in Great Leads, or it was the Architect of Persuasion, where they talk about, you know, the battery and the circuit. You know, it's like you want to continue the idea throughout. You know, you don't want to add in something that is just that's incongruent and just kind of dilutes it and, you know, scatters the focus of that specific copy.
The key here, I think, is, and again, you know more about this product and this market than I do, is like, we need to ask ourselves, is that zinc carnitine, is that a novel enough ingredient that's not in Tums or whatever else they're taking, in Prilosec, whatever? Is that novel enough to carry the entire Facebook ad? And that's a question that you're going to have to sort of answer through your market research, right? It's possible that zinc carnitine is something that they've already heard before. So mentioning that is kind of a letdown. And that's why they're almost forced to say, but it also has this, but it also has this, but it also has this.
That makes sense.
So, and then that's why I wanted to take a step back and figure out the mechanism, because the new paradigm shift, the new reality that you have to convince them of, that it's not acid reflux. If you can connect that it's not an excess amount of acid in the stomach, if we can find one or all four ingredients tied to that new paradigm, then that'll tell you which one to go with. Do I go with one or do I go with all four? Because you need the combination of all four for the desired outcome.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, these are all sort of really high level marketing sort of decisions that we need to make, that I think you're right to sort of ask some of these questions, because it's important. And a lot of people just start writing right away.
Definitely. I mean, do you mind opening, clicking on the Facebook ad library link, just so you can have a sort of an idea of the ads they're running?
It's not bloating. You're pregnant. Okay. So. And which one does the best?
I need to double check which one does the best. But
Sure.
I'm assuming, you know, the one that's running from May is probably doing quite well if they're, you know, if they've kept it running that long. The one right at the bottom. Yeah, the two right at the bottom.
Yeah, and then the reason why.
So that's again, you know, starting with this story and then continuing on to the unique mechanism and then the unique mechanism of solution.
Do they actually tell you what the problem is?
So so they do, yeah. So it's inflamed esophagus, and then that bit's also a little confusing, you know, when they kind of pivot to the sore throat or tonsils. But I guess that's also kind of related to the symptoms they may have in their throat.
Yeah, I mean, and this is fine. And the reason why I think this one works better than all the rest is because, you know, and then this might be a little bit, it just started running, I'm guessing, so it's tough to know whether these are winning. But it's like, this is not going to work because you literally just gave me the answer. And this is an old answer that I heard about leaky gut in 2010.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's, you know, it's been played out too much.
So, you know, I'd be curious which one of these is winning between just revealing right away the bruised esophagus or the inflamed esophagus or whatever versus keeping it completely blind.
Yeah, more, you know, a direct or kind of somewhat indirect lead. Yeah, definitely. Because and you know the and also when it comes to the creative they're using. So for example, in this one, you know, they've just got these two kind of images. On their lander, they've got this kind of image that's really kind of, that's kind of a GIF that they could technically use. That's that's a bit more it's a bit more subtle, I'd say. If you open the lander and you just scroll down a bit. Yep, keep going. Yeah, right here. So they've got like obviously you don't want to make it too, you don't want something that's too squeamish, but just something that kind of, you know, gets the point across. So in this one, you know, like the one at the bottom.
I mean, look, this changes everything, right? This means that we have to mention esophagus in the Facebook ad.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. Then all we need to do then in the Facebook ad is convince me that the problem is not, which is what they have here. You just basically need to write a better version of this.
Okay.
You can probably test a shorter version that just stops right here. So it hurts whenever anything touches it. How do you fix it? Well, here at Holistic Health Labs, we finally figured out a breakthrough solution. And it takes 7 seconds a day to use, whatever. Click here now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, because, you know, the bit at the bottom is just, it's almost throat clearing, because it's just like, you know, they're just piling on more and more information when they could just get to the point quicker and, you know, just get the click essentially. And then, you know, the person's landed on the landing page and that does what it needs to.
Well, I mean, the real weird thing is like, they've just listed out 4 ingredients and they've only connected one of them to the mechanism that they just convinced me that it's actually my inflamed esophagus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we talking about my gut lining now? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So yeah, so here's what I would do. I would start with just doing the same exact thing. It's actually your esophagus, and then you need to connect every single ingredient to the esophagus.
Okay.
Because this almost introduces a different problem.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It kind of does, as you said, dilute it. Because I mean, now we were just going in like two different directions. We started off with the esophagus, and now we're moving over to gut lining.
Exactly. Yeah. So just connect everything, if you can, in the science to esophagus and see if that gives them a lift.
Do you think it would work if, as you've just said, if you, even if they didn't include every single ingredient, but if I kind of used, I guess, a sort of fascination for the rest of the ingredients, and it's because it's possible the science may not link, and if we keep it as simple as we can, is it possible if I just have that a story, and then this bit you've highlighted have the link with the the zinc and the carnosine, and then for the rest of them just have like a fascination, and we've included some special exclusive ingredients that then target this.
I'm saying you don't even do that. I'm saying you do story, esophagus, and then you literally stop. You could stop here.
Okay.
We combine some of the best clinically studied ingredients to solve your fucked up esophagus, and thousands of people have proven that it works unlike anything else. Click here now. Like, you almost don't need this. Like, that's something I would test.
Okay, then I'll just work on that. I'll work on the bit up to create the ultimate gut health solution, dial in the copy a bit, just make it a lot more related to the issue with the esophagus, and then just end it right at that point.
Yep. That's one test. The next test is, yeah, you have all the ingredients and you connect it to esophagus.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully that's helpful, man. But again, this is like the key to all this.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, thanks. No, that's been really helpful.
Yeah, of course.
I've got an idea of what to do now. Thanks a lot, Mike.
You got it, man. All right, I think that's every link. I'm not sure. No, it is. Okay. All right, guys. Well, this was fun. I will talk to everyone next week. Let me know if anyone has any questions in the meantime. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your guys' Monday.
Right, see you.